Hello on the Daily Family. Welcome back to the show. In today's episode, we're talking about money. Money, 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 money. Reminds me of Cabaret when the song "Money makes the world go round, the world go round." Anyway, we're talking about money and we're talking about your money mindset. And we're talking about this idea of this poor mentality that everything is expensive and what to do about it. And so I'm going to give you some tips for how you can shift your money mindset like in the moment and make a quick pivot into a healthier mindset around money and finances and wealth in general. So stick around because this is a good one. I want to share, I have a new masterclass series coming out, which is, I've never really done before, but it's a 3-part series and it's called the Ego versus Intuition series. And it's all about limiting beliefs and it's all about ego and it's all geared towards helping you make decisions from a place of peace versus scarcity. It's going to give you tools to decipher what is your ego talking and what is your intuition talking. It's going to help you squash limiting beliefs in my proven 4-step process. And ultimately, the goal is for you to walk away standing more confident in who you are, why you do what you do, and, you know, knowing what to do with those feelings of like, oh my gosh, why would I post on social media and nobody cares what I have to say? Or, oh my gosh, I don't have enough experience with this, so I'm not going to share my opinion. Or the feeling of, you know, everything should be hard for me and, you know, nothing can be easy. Really, really helping you squash these things. And so there's going to be a 3-part masterclass. It's going to take place over 3 days. And that is currently in pre-sale behind the scenes. And so the only way to get it is to DM me on Instagram and tell me that you want the 3-part ego series, and we will send you the link for that. But once we fully announce it and once the branding goes live for it, which the branding is going to be amazing because it's my team and my team makes the best branding ever. But once the branding goes live, the price goes up. So make sure you slide into the DMs and ask about the 3-part ego series, and we will get that over to you so you can be a part of the fun. It is a live 3-part series, so you'll get to participate live. Okay, let's get into this episode. All right, it's a money episode. This is an episode I really love. I can talk about money mindset all the time, and I just think that comes from a place of I'm so sick of everyone having this like taboo around money and making money and how we should be talking about making money and like what is acceptable and what's not, and how, you know, if you're not humble, then you're like not good enough. Like I'm just so over all of it. And I think it's all, frankly, I think it's all fucking bullshit. I will always talk about money. I will always talk about the transparency of money. I will always tell people what kind of money I make and what people in my world make or my coach makes, because if it's possible for one of us, it's possible for all of us. That's like literally the universal law of divine oneness. What's possible for one is possible for all. It's just science. And so I will always talk about money. Here's where we're going with this one. This idea of I can't afford anything, the feeling of the people that always say like, oh, everything is so expensive. Everything is so expensive. I cannot listen to anyone else talk about inflation. I cannot listen to anybody else talk about how expensive eggs are or how expensive flights have gotten or how expensive gas is. It's just not a conversation I'm available for. And I think that when we talk about those things, which makes sense that it's being, you know, it's on display for us all over the media, telling us how expensive everything is, because when we're thinking about how expensive everything is, we're going to constantly be in this state of poor, of I don't have enough, I don't make enough money, I'm going to have to work harder in order to make more money. Ugh. I'm just over it, frankly. I'm over it. And I think it's so dumb, because what you think about most becomes your reality. So if your whole life is spent feeling like I can't afford anything, that everything is too expensive, I can't do that because of it's too much money, I don't spend money on myself. Like, guys, and girls and humans and everyone, your thoughts matter. the way you talk to yourself matters. So if you spend your whole day, all your days talking about how expensive everything is, how broke you are, how, you never can get ahead, how hard everything is, how much inflation is affecting the economy. And if you spend all your time watching the economy or watching other people talk about the economy, how do you think that your mindset is going to be? Because I can promise you it's not going to be good. It's not going to be popping. I don't ever pay attention to inflation. I just don't. I don't care. It doesn't build my energy. It depletes it. And in my life, it either causes resonance in my body or it causes resistance in my body. And if it causes resistance in my body, I am unavailable for it. Unavailable. So I am not going to listen to anyone tell me how expensive everything is. I'm not going to listen to everybody tell me how, much the inflation is up and how eggs are, 12 times the price they were last year. I don't care. 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 And it's not because I'm naive. It's not because I don't know it's happening. It's because I refuse to drain my energy budget thinking about things like that. Focus on the positives. Focus on not, I can't afford that. Focus on how can I afford that? This is I think this is a big thing with my parents' generation. I'm a millennial. My parents are I don't know, it's is it the boomers? I don't think my parents are younger than the boomers. Maybe they're not. I don't know. Whatever the generation is above mine. It's a lot of scarcity around money. Everything is so expensive. I'm going to do the budget thing, a lot of DIY, a lot of, oh my gosh, I can't afford that. Or, we're going to just fly Spirit Airlines because we don't value our life and we want a deal. First of all, don't ever fly Spirit Airlines because it's questionable on whether or not you'll arrive in one piece. But that's a whole other story for a whole other day. But just this mentality of that, if that is how you live and that's what you say, and that is a lot of how my parents' generation was and still is, you're going to just be stuck in that forever. That's not going to feel good. That doesn't feel good in your body. I was having a conversation with somebody one time and I was telling them what I pay people, right? Or or how much, it was I was talking about how much I make versus how many expenses I have on paying my employees. And when I told them that, this person was like, see, that's why I won't start a business because everything's so expensive. And I'm like, what? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Doesn't make any fucking sense because if that is your mentality, then that is what will be proven to you all the time. My mentality around that is I make so much money that is not affected by inflation. And I'm so grateful that I get to pay people to work for me and put people in their genius. That's my mentality around it. And this, I think, and this is where I always tell people, this is where you have to go from a state of, I can't afford that to how can I afford that? Because sure, I would love to buy a private plane right now. I currently do not have the budget for that. But instead of being I'll never be able to afford a private plane, my brain is what can I do to afford that? What moves can I make in my life to be able to afford that? Keeps you in this constant state of abundance and calling in more versus I can't afford that. Okay, great. Well, then you're never going to be able to afford that. Or talking constantly about how expensive everything is, or talking constantly about, how much more expensive things are versus last year. That's not helping you. It's not helping you. It's not helping your mindset. It's not helping you grow. It's just not. And a positive money mindset, a good relationship with money is knowing that money is energetic. It's not a thing. It's an energy, and it amplifies at the level you are currently operating at. So if you're bitching all the time about how you don't have any, your frequency is low, and therefore you're going to continue to stay in that low frequency of money. Where if your constant is, I am so abundant, everything I need I have, everything I want is coming to me, and I make plenty of money, and if I can't afford it now, I'm going to figure out how I can. It it just keeps things moving. It keeps things growing. It keeps you growing. And by the way, those, how can I afford it? I'm going to make moves until I get there. That is not just one big giant move. Okay. You don't get to be a multiple 7-figure multimillionaire by making one big move a year ago. That's not how it works. Like, I am successful because every single day I make small moves toward the person I want to become. I do not talk to myself negatively. I do not. If I feel tightness in my body around a price of something, I figure it out immediately so it doesn't become a problem. I figure out where that feeling is coming from and I deal with it in the moment. If I have like a freak out about, a lower month, I don't make it a story, right? You have to be really conscious about what is happening to you versus what you are making a story about. Because things can happen without you making a story about them. So the facts are, I currently do not have the budget to buy a private plane. But instead of being like, I can't afford that, like that's only for billionaires and like I'm not a billionaire, and making this story around it, instead it's like, that's not in the budget right now, but I'm figuring out how I can get there. And that's it. And it's just not making a story around it. And I think so many people attach things that deal with money to their worth. If I have a low month in business, like if I have a dip in business, that means nothing about me. It means nothing about the kind of coach that I am. It means nothing about the kind of leader I am. It just means that I had a lower month, and that's it. So you have to get your mindset right. Number one, like I said, I'm going to give you some tips today. I'm telling you 3 things that I think you could do immediately. Maybe there's 4, at least 3 things that you could do immediately to shift around your money mindset. Number 1 is never say, I can't afford that again, and instead say, how can I afford that? Number 2 is no longer using language suggesting that things are too expensive, talking about inflation, listening to people who talk about inflation and how expensive everything is. That's number 2. Number 3 is figuring out where in your body you feel tightness around money and getting to the bottom of that. Because a lot of people, the reason, like they think that they just like don't want, or they think that they're just fine. Like I talk to people that are like, I don't need to make a lot of money. Like I'm fine not making a lot of money. And then when I uncover it and I dig deeper, like I talk to my clients about this all the time, and I'll say, well, why don't you want to have money? And then it always comes down to something like, well, if I make more money, then I have to pay more in taxes. What? So let me get this straight. You don't want to make more money because if you make more money, you're going to have to pay more taxes. What? Do you hear that? Like, do you hear the insanity in that? But consciously, you're not thinking about that. Consciously, what you're thinking of is like, people who have money are so lame. People who have money are so deceiving. Like I would never want to be that rich because it just means that they did something wrong, which like 9 times out of 10, no, they didn't. 9 times out of the 10, they know how to work the system and have a high financial IQ, and you don't. And if you don't, then you're constantly going to project that insecurity onto other people by saying things like, like millionaires are terrible people, so I don't want to be one. When really, you're just afraid of success because you don't want to have to pay more money to the government, because you believe that if you have to do that, you're not going to be able to maintain that level of success, and it's all going to come crashing down because you've been worried your whole life that the other shoe is going to fall. So you've stayed in this hyper state of vigilance, this hyper state of high anxiety, high functioning central nervous system, that you don't even know what peace in your body around money would feel like. That's what's happening. And so the way to move through that is to figure out where in your body you are feeling tension and see if you can move through that feeling by asking yourself very simple questions. Does feeling like this make me feel more or less powerful? Does feeling like this or having this belief around money make me more or less successful? Does inviting in the opinions of people who have a terrible mindset with money make me more or less peaceful? And ask yourself these questions so that you can consciously bring it into your awareness and be able to do something about it. Okay? And then number 4, 5, I don't even know. The last tip I'm going to give you is make small moves. Don't just make giant moves once every 3 years, because then you're going to attach so much more to it. And you're going to just have this constant feeling of like, I made a big move, so I have to get big results. When if you just make small moves over time, those compound. And when they compound, they're going to ultimately lead to way more money. And then your money's not going to be in this like, on again, off again thing, which keeps you in that perpetual state of the other shoe is going to fall and it is so expensive. Where if you're just making small moves, you're just staying in long-term mentorship, no matter what. Like my mentor, I'm never like, my contract is a year, but we're just going to keep going. Like I have clients in my world that just keep re-signing regardless of what's going on in their life. You can't just invest in yourself when things are going good, or when things are hitting the fan and you like need a prayer. You need to stay in mentorship regardless if in the moment you like need it. It's those small compounding moves over time. For me, it was making the decision to go, okay, I know I make a lot of money on private coaching, but do I want to spend most of my time on calls? Not really. I want to be able to serve my community in different ways. Okay, awesome. So what's the solution? Well, the solution would be spending more time trying to build up my MRR, which is my monthly recurring revenue. Spend more time there, which is going to bring in less money up front. But if I spend more money there, that's going to be small moves over time that are going to compound to a lot of recurring revenue and passive income. Great, I'm going to do that. So then when the dip happens, I'm not like, oh my God, I'm terrible. Oh my God, this was a mistake. I'm like, I knew this was a thing. I knew this was going to happen. I knew it was going to be it was going to take place, and I'm okay. And guess what? My central nervous system is calm. You keep peace in your body. You're able to maintain your level of discernment that is needed to build a business or a life. Then your money mindset changes. You're no longer making a story about things that don't need a story made about them. You're just taking it at face value. So I hope this was helpful. I hope these steps were helpful. If you need to go back and listen again, I highly suggest you do so. With that, I will see you back next week with 2 more episodes. Love ya.